All right, let's jump into prepping for a concrete pump operator interview. We've got these awesome guides from RoleCatcher, the career guide, and the interview guide. They're like treasure maps to help you totally nail this interview. Concrete pumping, I know it might not sound like the most, glamorous gig,
Well, it's not always about the glamour, right?
right? But the job outlook
Yeah.
is really solid.
Yeah,
And the money, definitely something to get pumped about.
for sure. It's a field where you can build a real career, and these guides, they're going to show you how to do just that.
Exactly. So before we get into the interview questions, let's break down what a concrete pump operator actually does.
You're like the conductor of concrete on a construction site. You're not just pushing buttons, you're making sure that concrete gets where it needs to go at the right time with the right consistency. It's definitely a hands-on job, often outdoors, rain or shine.
Totally. And speaking of hands-on, the RoleCatcher guides highlight some pretty important skills. Operating those huge pumps, understanding concrete techniques, and keeping that equipment in tip-top shape. It's technical know-how, attention to detail.
Absolutely. And safety protocols, you can't forget about those.
True, true. Heavy machinery, sometimes dangerous materials.
Yeah.
Safety is key.
No doubt.
That's where RoleCatcher's AI comes in. It analyzes job descriptions and helps you tailor your resume.
It's a game changer, especially if you're not quite sure what skills to focus on or how to show off your experience.
And here's the coolest part. RoleCatcher has this feedback feature. It's amazing. You can practice interview questions and get AI-powered feedback.
Like a virtual interview coach.
Right.
It analyzes your answers, points out areas to work on, helps you refine your delivery.
So let's put this AI magic to work and dive into the interview questions. The guide lays it all out, the question, what the interviewer is looking for, the best approach, and even a sample response to get you started.
And remember, these samples are just starting points. You'll want to make them your own, using your own experiences and skills.
Totally. Okay, first question. What inspired you to become a concrete pump operator? What do you think they're really trying to get at here?
It's deeper than just what got you interested. They want to see your motivation, your passion for this field. Do you have that fire in your belly?
Makes sense. What does the interview guide say?
It says they're looking for genuine enthusiasm and a good grasp of the role. Have you thought this through? Does this career path line up with your goals?
Okay, so how should someone approach this question? How should they frame their answer?
Highlight any experiences that made you interested in construction or working with machinery. Maybe you were always fascinated by those big pumps as a kid, or you've always loved working with your hands, figuring out how things work.
So connect your passion to the job.
Exactly. Show them this isn't just a job, it's something you really care about. And here's a big one. Don't just say you're in it for the money or because it seems easy.
Not a good look?
Nope.
Okay, let's hear that sample response. What does a winning answer sound like?
How about this? I've always been fascinated by construction, watching buildings go up. As a kid, I spent hours at construction sites, and those concrete pump trucks, those always caught my eye. The power, the precision, I was hooked. I love working with my hands, and the challenge of operating machinery safely and efficiently, that's what really drives me.
I like it. Genuine interest, a personal touch, and those relevant skills. What kind of follow-up questions could they ask after this?
Maybe they dig deeper into your experience with machinery. What specific types have you operated? Or they might ask about your understanding of safety protocols. How do you handle pressure on a busy site? Those sorts of things.
Great point. It's about being ready to go beyond just a rehearsed answer. All right, next question. How do you ensure you operate the concrete pump equipment safely? Seems pretty straightforward, but what's the real deal here?
Safety is everything in this role. The interviewer is checking if you understand the safety rules and if you're committed to following them. They want to know you're not just skilled, but responsible too.
Okay, so more than just saying, I'm a safe operator.
Right. The interview guide says to give specific safety procedures you follow, like pre-operation checks, inspecting the equipment, making sure you're communicating clearly with your team, all those things.
So what should people avoid saying? What are some traps to watch out for?
Don't be vague about safety. Avoid saying things like, I try to be careful, or I've never had an accident,
Got it. So a sample response that gets it right.
How about this? Safety is my #1 priority, always. Before I even turn the key, I do a full inspection of the concrete pump, looking for any wear and tear, leaks, anything that looks off. I always follow the manufacturer's safety guidelines and whatever rules are specific to the job site. And I make sure to communicate clearly with my team using hand signals and talking things through so everyone's on the same page and aware of potential hazards.
That's a solid answer. Clear, concise, and shows a real understanding of safety. Now, what about follow-up questions?
They might ask about specific safety certifications you have. OSHA training, concrete pump operator certification, anything like that. Or they might ask about your experience with safety equipment, like lockout, tagout procedures.
Good point. It's important to be prepared to go beyond the basics. Okay, question 3. This one's a bit more challenging. How do you handle unexpected issues or problems that come up during a concrete pump operation? What's the thought process behind this question?
They call this a behavioral question. They're not just looking at your technical skills here. They're trying to figure out how you solve problems, how you think on your feet. Can you handle pressure?
So those curveballs that always seem to pop up on construction sites.
Exactly. And the guide recommends using the STAR method: situation, task, action, result. Describe a situation where you had to deal with an unexpected problem, what you did about it, and what the result was.
Tell a story. Show them you can handle it. What should people avoid saying here?
Don't be vague. Don't talk about what you would do. Focus on a real-life situation that shows how you think, how you make decisions, and how you get things done.
Okay, give us that sample response, the STAR method in action.
Okay, picture this. We were working on a project, pouring a foundation, and suddenly we had a blockage in the concrete hose. Time was ticking, and a delay could have messed up the whole foundation. First thing, I stopped the pump to prevent more damage and took a look at what was going on. Following our safety protocols, I used compressed air to clear the blockage, making sure everyone was a safe distance away. Once a hose was clear, I slowly started the pump again, watching the pressure closely to avoid another blockage. We finished the pour without any problems. And of course, I documented everything that happened so the team knew and we could avoid similar issues in the future.
That's a great example. Problem, steps taken, positive outcome. Clear as day. Follow-up questions.
They might ask about the specifics of clearing the blockage, or how you communicated with the team during that situation, or other problems you've encountered, how you prioritize them, how you involve your team in finding solutions, things like that.
All about showing your expertise. All right, question 4 gets into the technical stuff. How do you ensure the concrete is pumped efficiently and accurately? This one's all about showing you understand the process and you can do quality work, right?
Yep, exactly. It's showing you're not just an operator, you're a pro who knows the ins and outs of concrete pumping. You get it.
So how do you approach this one? What are the key things to hit?
Focus on the steps you take to be both efficient and accurate. Setting up the equipment properly, choosing the right hose size, adjusting the pump speed and pressure, making sure the concrete flow is good. All those details matter.
So it's technical know-how and attention to detail.
You got it. And don't forget communication. You're working with the crew on the ground, so clear communication is super important.
Right. Making sure the concrete ends up exactly where it needs to be. What should people avoid saying here? What are some red flags?
Don't be vague. Don't say things like, I just make sure it gets there, or I follow the instructions. Show them you understand what's going on, that you can think for yourself.
All right, let's hear a good sample response. One that nails efficiency, accuracy, and communication.
Here's one. To pump concrete efficiently and accurately, I always start by setting up the pump and hoses carefully, thinking about the distance, the height, any obstacles in the way. Then I choose the right hose size and configuration based on what kind of concrete we're using and how much we're pumping. I adjust the pump speed and pressure depending on how thick the concrete is and what the pour needs. I keep a close eye on the flow the whole time, watching for blockages or air pockets. And I make sure to communicate clearly with the crew using hand signals and radios so we're all coordinated and the concrete ends up exactly where it needs to be.
That's comprehensive for sure.
Yeah.
Covers all the bases. Follow-up questions. What might they ask?
They might ask about challenges you faced with accuracy, like working on tricky terrain or around obstacles. Or they might ask about your experience with different concrete mixes, how you adapt your techniques for different projects.
Great points. It's all about showing you can handle the details. Okay, question 5. How do you maintain and repair the concrete pump equipment? We've talked about safety, technical skills. Why is this question so important?
It's about more than just operating the equipment. It's showing you have mechanical skills, that you can solve problems, and that you're dedicated to keeping everything in top shape. It's showing you're proactive and responsible.
So showing you understand the machinery and can handle basic maintenance. How should people approach this question?
Highlight your experience with both routine maintenance and troubleshooting. Talk about regular inspections, spotting potential problems, doing those basic repairs, and keeping good records.
So being proactive, not just waiting for things to break down.
Exactly. And understanding preventative maintenance. Keeping the equipment running smoothly means less downtime, fewer accidents, and a smoother project overall.
Makes sense. What should people avoid saying here?
Don't brush off the importance of maintenance. Don't say, I just call the mechanic. It makes you look like you don't take initiative and you don't understand the technical side of things.
Right. Bad impression.
Yeah.
Okay, give us a good sample response. One that shows mechanical skills, problem solving, and that proactive approach to maintenance.
All right. For me, preventative maintenance is key. Less downtime, and it keeps the equipment running safely and reliably. I follow a strict schedule, checking the engine, pump, hoses, everything, every day, looking for leaks, wear and tear, any sign of damage. I'm also comfortable with troubleshooting and doing basic repairs myself, like replacing seals, tighten connections, and I keep detailed logs so you can track the equipment's history and catch any recurring problems.
Now that's an answer that shows you know your stuff.
Yeah.
And that you're proactive. Follow-up questions.
They might ask about specific maintenance tasks you've done, or your experience repairing specific parts. How do you diagnose problems? How do you solve them? They might also ask about safety protocols for maintenance and repair work.
Always be ready to go deeper. Okay, we've covered 5 questions, and we're just getting started.
All right, we're back. Ready for more interview questions?
Let's do it. We're on a roll. Next up is a question that really digs into your experience. What's the most challenging project you've worked on as a concrete pump operator? Sounds kind of intimidating, but it's actually a chance to show what you're made of.
Exactly. It's about showing your problem-solving skills, how you handle tough situations, your dedication.
So how do you approach this one? How do you frame your answer?
Pick a project that was genuinely tough, whether it was the location, tight deadlines, or unexpected problems that popped up. Describe those obstacles and what you did to overcome them.
Tell a story. Show them you can adapt, be creative, and get the job done. What are some things to avoid here?
Don't downplay your experience. Everyone faces challenges. The interviewer wants to know how you handled them. And don't blame others or just focus on the negative stuff.
Good advice. Okay, let's hear that sample response. A good example of how to handle this tough question.
Okay, here's one. One of the toughest projects I worked on was pumping concrete for a high-rise building downtown. Space was super tight, maneuvering the truck and hoses through those narrow streets around all those obstacles. And to top it off, we had to coordinate with other trades and make sure we weren't disrupting traffic or pedestrians.
Sounds like a logistical nightmare.
It was. To handle it, I worked closely with the site manager and the crew. We mapped out a detailed plan for the pumping, figuring out the route and the order of the pours. And I had to get creative with the equipment, using special hose extensions and boom configurations to reach those tricky spots. It was complex, but we got it done on time and within budget, thanks to careful planning, communication, and teamwork.
That's a great example. Challenges, solutions, and success. It shows you're more than just an operator, you're a problem solver. What about follow-up questions?
They might ask about decisions you made during that project, how you dealt with setbacks, what you learned from it. They might ask about your communication strategies or how you keep your team motivated when things get tough.
Makes sense. It's all about going deeper and showing you can handle those complex situations. Okay, let's move on. Next question is about organization. How do you ensure you stick to project timelines and deadlines? Maybe not as exciting as operating a giant pump, but still super important.
Absolutely. Deadlines are everything in construction. Interviewers want to see that you're organized, efficient, and can deliver on time and on budget.
So how do you tackle this one? What are the key points?
Focus on being proactive with planning, prioritizing your tasks, and staying organized. Talk about the tools and techniques you use to manage your time, calendars, to-do lists, project management software, anything that works for you.
So it's about showing you can think ahead and manage your time effectively, not just work hard.
Exactly. And again, communication is key. Keeping the team updated, letting them know about potential delays, and being proactive in finding solutions. That's how you meet those deadlines.
Okay, what should people avoid saying here? What are some red flags when it comes to organization?
Avoid vague answers like, I work hard, or I've never missed a deadline. It doesn't tell them anything about your process or how you handle pressure.
Right.
Don't just focus on things outside your control, like weather or material delays. Tell them what you do to minimize those impacts.
Take ownership, show them you're in control. Okay, let's hear a sample response that hits those key points of organization, planning, and communication.
How about this? To make sure I meet deadlines, I always start by reviewing the entire project plan and schedule. I break it down into smaller tasks, figure out which ones are most important and have the tightest deadlines, and create a detailed plan. I use a mix of tools like digital calendars and project management apps to keep track of everything, set reminders, and see how things are flowing. And of course, I keep the lines of communication open. I regularly update the team on my progress, flag any potential delays early on, and we work together to find solutions. Being organized, prioritizing, and communicating, that's how I stay on track and meet those deadlines.
That's a well-organized answer. Shows you're on top of things. Follow-up questions. What might they ask?
They could ask about specific time management strategies you use. How do you handle unexpected delays? What about changes in the project scope? Have you used project management tools before? They might also ask about a time you had to adjust a plan to meet a tight deadline, or how you manage juggling multiple projects at once, those kinds of things.
Good stuff. All right, let's move on to a question that's very specific to concrete pumping. How do you ensure you work safely when operating the concrete pump equipment in challenging weather conditions? We all know concrete pumping often happens outdoors, but why is this question so important? What's the interviewer really getting at here?
This one's all about adaptability, prioritizing safety, and making good decisions under pressure. Concrete pumping can be tricky enough on a good day. Throw in some rain, wind, snow, or extreme temperatures, and things get a lot more risky. They want to know you understand those risks and can handle them.
So, more than just being a good operator, you have to be safety conscious and make smart choices in tough conditions. How should someone answer this one? What are the key points to focus on?
Talk about the precautions you take when working in bad weather, checking the forecast, assessing the risks, wearing the right gear, adjusting your operating techniques, and communicating with your team.
So preparation, awareness, and flexibility.
Exactly, and knowing your limits. If the weather's too risky, you need to be able to speak up and recommend postponing the work until it's safe again.
Good call. What should people avoid saying here? What are some red flags when it comes to safety in bad weather?
Don't act like it's no big deal. Don't say things like, I've never had a problem in bad weather, or I just tough it out. That shows a lack of awareness and respect for safety procedures.
Definitely not the message you want to send. Okay, let's hear a sample response that nails those key elements: safety awareness, risk assessment, and those adaptive techniques.
Here's one. Challenging weather means you got to be extra careful and proactive about safety. I always check the forecast before I even head to the site and think about the potential risks. I make sure I have the right gear, whether it's rain gear, high visibility clothing, or insulated gloves, whatever the conditions call for. I also adjust how I operate the pump, maybe slowing it down, reducing the pressure, and being extra cautious with the hose, and boom. And of course, I'm constantly communicating with my team using hand signals and the radio so everyone knows what's going on and we're all working safely. And if the weather gets too bad, I'll speak up to the supervisor and recommend we stop until it improves. No job is worth risking safety.
That's a great response. Shows you take safety seriously, understand the risks, and can make good decisions when things get rough. What about follow-up questions?
They might ask about specific procedures you follow in different types of weather, like how do you handle ice or high winds? They might also ask about times you've had to make tough calls to stop work because of safety concerns. How do you communicate those decisions to your team and everyone else involved? Things like that.
All about showing you can handle those tough situations. Okay, let's move on to a question that's all about teamwork and communication, which are crucial on any construction site. What steps do you take to make sure you communicate effectively with your team members when you're operating the concrete pump equipment? Why is this so important for a concrete pump operator, and what are they looking for here?
This question digs deeper than just operating the equipment. It's about understanding how important teamwork is, being able to communicate clearly and concisely, and creating a safe and efficient work environment. Concrete pumping has a lot of moving parts, literally and figuratively. Communication is key for coordinating everyone, preventing accidents, and making sure the pour goes smoothly. The interviewer wants to know you're not just a skilled operator, you're a good communicator and a team player.
So it's showing that you can explain things clearly, listen to your team, and work together to get the job done right. How should people answer this one? What are the important points to hit?
The guide recommends highlighting the methods you use for clear and effective communication with your team. Hand signals, radios, pre-job briefings, regular updates, talk about those. Explain why it's important to have clear communication protocols, making sure everyone knows their role and what's expected of them.
Creating that culture of communication where everyone feels comfortable speaking up and sharing information, working together as a unit.
Exactly. And being able to adapt to the situation and the needs of your team. Construction sites can be noisy and chaotic, so You need to be able to communicate effectively despite distractions and adjust your style so everyone understands what you're saying.
What should people avoid saying here? What are some red flags when it comes to communication?
Don't say things like, I just yell instructions, or I assume everyone knows what they're doing. That shows a lack of respect for your team and the importance of clear communication. And don't just focus on times when communication broke down or there were conflicts. Highlight what you did to resolve those issues and improve communication in the future.
Good advice. Taking responsibility for your communication style and creating that positive work environment. All right, let's hear a sample response that showcases clear communication, teamwork, and that adaptability.
Here's one. Clear communication is essential for safety and efficiency in concrete pumping. Before we even start a job, I always have a pre-job briefing with the whole team. We go over the plan, the order of the pours, any potential hazards, and how we'll be communicating throughout the day. During the pour, I'm talking to the crew on the ground constantly, using hand signals and the radio to give updates on the concrete flow, pressure, and any changes we need to make. And I always encourage my team to speak up if they have any concerns or see potential problems. By keeping the lines of communication open, listening to each other, and being responsive to the team's needs, I create a safe and efficient work environment.
That's a fantastic response. Shows you understand communication, value teamwork, and can adapt your style to get the message across. Follow-up questions.
They might ask about communication challenges you faced on past projects. How do you handle disagreements? What about working with people who speak different languages? They might ask about how you give constructive feedback or how you make sure everyone on the team feels heard and respected.
Those are great points. It's all about showing that you can communicate effectively and build positive relationships with your team. Okay, we've covered 8 interview questions so far. We're on a roll. Stay tuned for the final part where we'll tackle more challenging questions and explore those valuable career insights from RoleCatcher's Career Guide that can give you an edge in your job search. Welcome back to our deep dive into concrete pump operator interviews. We've covered a ton, from safety to problem solving to those essential communication skills.
And how RoleCatcher's AI can really help you prepare, from tailoring your resume to practicing your interview answers.
Right, it's an amazing tool. But before we wrap up, let's hit a few more questions that might come up in your interview. These are more personal, aimed at understanding you as a candidate.
They want to see what motivates you, your work ethic, how you see yourself fitting into their team.
Okay, question 9. Tell me about a time you had to work under pressure. It's a classic interview question, and it's a great chance to show how you handle stress, how you stay focused when things get crazy.
Exactly. And the key here is to pick a specific example from your work experience where you faced a high-pressure situation and handled it well.
So don't just say, I work well under pressure. Tell a story, paint a picture, and show them what you did and how it turned out.
Right. Focus on your actions, what you did to manage the pressure, not just the external factors that caused it.
Okay, let's hear a sample response that nails this question.
How about this? On a previous project, we were pouring a bridge deck when a massive storm rolled in out of nowhere. We had a very small window to finish the pour before the rain ruins the concrete. I quickly assessed the situation, told my team how urgent it was, and adjusted our pumping plan to focus on the most important areas. We worked fast, efficiently, never losing sight of safety even with the time pressure. We managed to finish the pour right before the rain hit, which saved the structure from damage. It was definitely stressful, but because we worked as a team and communicated clearly, we adapted and pulled it off.
That's a great example, showing how you handled pressure, made quick decisions, and worked together to get it done. What kind of follow-up questions might they ask?
They could ask about other stressful situations you've been in, how you stay calm and focused, how you prioritize tasks when deadlines are tight, those sorts of things.
Good points. It's about being prepared to dig deeper and show that you're resilient, that you can think clearly when things get intense. Okay, next up. Describe a time you had to deal with a difficult colleague or client. Now, this one can be tricky, but it's a chance to show how you handle conflict professionally.
The important thing here is to choose an example where you successfully dealt with a difficult person. Talk about what you did to resolve the conflict, stay professional, and reach a positive outcome.
Right, so no bad-mouthing or negativity. It's about showing you can communicate well, find common ground, and keep those working relationships strong, even when things get tough.
Exactly. They're looking for signs of maturity, empathy, and problem-solving skills.
Okay, let's hear a sample response that tackles this one effectively.
Here's one. Once, on a job site, I had a disagreement with a foreman about where to place the concrete hose. He wanted it in a spot that I thought was unsafe and could potentially damage the nearby buildings. Instead of arguing, I calmly explained my concerns, pointed out the risks, and suggested a different location that would be both safe and efficient. We talked it through, weighed the pros and cons, and eventually agreed on a solution that worked for both of us. Because we were respectful and collaborative, we resolved the issue without any delays or hard feelings. In fact, it actually made our working relationship stronger and reinforced the importance of open communication.
That's a perfect example of turning a potentially bad situation into a positive one. You communicated well, found a compromise, and kept things professional. Now, what about follow-up questions?
They might ask about other conflict resolution strategies you use, how you handle criticism or feedback, maybe your experience mediating disputes between team members.
Okay, those are some tough behavioral questions, but they give you a real chance to shine. Now, let's switch gears a bit and focus on strengths and weaknesses.
These can feel tricky, but it's really about showing self-awareness and a willingness to learn and grow.
Okay, question 11. What are your strengths as a concrete pump operator? This seems pretty straightforward, but how do you make your answers stand out?
Choose strengths that really match what the job needs and back them up with specific examples from your work experience.
So no vague answers like, I'm a hard worker or I'm a fast learner. Give them evidence. Show them what you can do.
Right. Make sure those strengths are relevant. Talk about your technical skills, safety record, communication abilities, problem-solving skills, your ability to work independently and as part of a team.
Great. Let's hear a sample response that really showcases those strengths.
How about this? My biggest strengths as a concrete pump operator are my technical knowledge, my dedication to safety, and my ability to work well as part of a team. I've got a lot of experience operating different types of concrete pumps, and I'm confident I can troubleshoot and solve any technical problems that come up. Safety is always my top priority. I'm very careful about following all the rules and procedures to keep myself and my team safe. I'm also a good communicator, both verbally and non-verbally. I think it's important to have open and respectful communication on the job site. I'm confident that my skills and experience would make me a valuable member of your team.
Now, that's a strong answer.
Yeah.
Highlights relevant strengths and backs them up with clear examples and explanations. What about follow-up questions?
They might ask for more details about specific situations where you demonstrated those strengths. Or they might ask how you developed those skills over time. How would your strengths benefit their company? How would they help their project succeed?
Those are great points. It's about connecting your strengths to what they need and how you can make a difference for them. Now, time for the question everyone dreads. What are your weaknesses as a concrete pump operator? This can feel like a trap, but it's really a chance to show that you're self-aware and committed to improvement.
Right. The key here is to choose a weakness that isn't crucial for the job, something you're already working on to improve. Explain what you're doing to address it and turn it into a strength.
So don't pick a weakness that makes them doubt your ability to do the job. And don't just say, I don't have any weaknesses. No one's perfect.
Exactly. Be honest and self-aware. Focus on those positive steps you're taking to get better.
All right, let's hear a good sample response that handles this question well.
Here's one. One area I'm constantly trying to improve is my knowledge of the newest concrete pump technology. I stay up to date on industry trends by reading trade journals and taking professional development courses, but technology changes so fast, there's always more to learn. So I'm actively looking for training opportunities, going to industry conferences, and networking with other professionals to expand my knowledge base and make sure I'm using the safest and most efficient methods. I think it's important to keep learning to stay ahead in this industry. And I'm dedicated to growing my skill set and staying at the forefront of concrete pumping technology.
That's a really smart way to frame a weakness. You acknowledged it, highlighted how you're working on it, and turned it into a positive. What kind of follow-up questions might they ask?
They might ask about specific things you're doing to improve, resources you're using, or how you plan to measure your progress.
Great points. Show them you're all about growth and learning. All right, last question, and it's a big one. Why should we hire you as our concrete pump operator? This is your closing statement, your chance to sum up why you're the best choice for this job.
It's your final pitch. Reiterate those key qualifications and show your enthusiasm for the position.
So go for it. Be confident, be passionate, and let your personality shine through.
Right. Tailor your answer to this specific company and this specific role. Show them how your skills and experience fit their needs and how you can help them succeed.
Okay, let's hear a sample response that makes a strong impression.
How about this? I believe I'm the perfect fit for this concrete pump operator position because I bring a unique combination of technical skills, safety awareness, problem-solving ability, and a strong team spirit. I've got the experience operating different pumps, and I'm dedicated to safety and efficiency. I know I can handle any project you throw my way. I'm a team player, a fast learner, and I'm always up for a challenge. I'm really excited about this opportunity. I know I can contribute to your team and help your company reach its goals.
That's a fantastic way to end the interview. You summarized your skills, showed your enthusiasm, and left them with a positive impression. What kind of follow-up questions might come after this?
At this point, they might ask if you have any questions for them. This is your chance to show you're interested in the company and the role, and they might talk about the next steps in the hiring process.
That's it for our deep dive into concrete pump operator interviews. We've covered 15 questions, explored the world of concrete pumping, and learned how RoleCatcher's AI can be a powerful tool for your job search. This is just the beginning. Now it's time to put what you've learned into practice.
Take those insights, make those answers your own, and practice, practice, practice.
Don't forget to check out RoleCatcher's Career Guide and those awesome AI features.
We know with the right preparation and a positive attitude, you can ace that interview and land your dream job as a concrete pump operator.
We're rooting for you all the way. And that wraps up another deep dive. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep diving deep.